Okay, how you doing, everybody? Arcader Zero here. I'm going to go over some generic universal role-playing games, not GURPS from the 80s. That thing was pretty tough. I played GURPS for a while in numerous campaigns. Good for some things, bad for other things. But more modern universal role-playing systems, because I usually get in discussions about this. I'm going to start with the one I like the least to the one I like the most. So let's start off with Genesys. The Genesys system was based off the Star Wars, the Final Fantasy Flight games, Star Wars role-playing games, Age of Rebellion, Edge of Empire, the Jedi one. Great system that that does really well with a cinematic spin on the dice rolls. The dice you use normal like role-playing game dice, but these have different symbols on them. Let me see if I can just grab it out here. All right, yeah, here's one. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of these dice. Look at that. Okay, so they have little symbols on them. So that would be a success. Then you roll other dice which counteract your successes. It's very cool the way they do this because they introduce something new to the role-playing format, and that is the concept of advantages or disadvantages. So you could be shooting at somebody and you can actually miss the target, but you could get an advantage. So you might have missed them, but you might have hit that pipe that's like right above them, and the steam comes down, and then it's more difficult for them to hit. So it makes the DM, the players, really think about what's going on, what's around them. In that aspect, it is very cool, and I love it for Star Wars. The Force dies. I love everything about the Star Wars. I played all the Star Wars role-playing games in the past, but as a universal system, I can see what they were trying to do with this. Why do I keep turning like orange or something? Hold on. I think it's because of the background back there. That's really weird. Oh, wow. Hold on a sec. Let me switch the light around. Well, anyway, the Genesys role-playing game system, it's the same mechanics. They put a little bit of magic in there. They put rules for hacking, an update on skills, or like modern skills or fantasy skills. But it's not complete. It's just the system. It's the core mechanics of the rules. They give you some ideas or anything, but they don't really give you anything to sink your teeth into. Let's say for supers. There's no superpower list in here or anything like that. I think what they were planning on doing is coming out with other supplements, because they came out with a cyberpunk setting, and they also came out with a fantasy setting, which I assume has more rules. I haven't bought those. So as a complete system, it's not. It's complete rules, but not a complete system. Anyways, that's the Genesys. The book itself, I mean, it's decent. The art in it is really good. They do a very clever thing where they do like a little sketch, not like completed, but you can see it's kind of like a sketch. And then you leave it up to your imagination to fill in the rest of those gaps that's in the sketch, which I think is pretty cool. And the art is good. No questions there. But as a complete universal role-playing system, you would have to do a whole lot of kit bashing to make this work. Say if you want to do a supers, all right, well, I got to come up with rules for super speed. I got to do, there's a lot that you have to do. A lot of homework that you'd have to do, which you can't really do here. The next one is the Cypher System. I had so many people tell me, you got to get it, Tom, you got to get it. So I got it. It's a very good book. It's like 450 pages. This thing's huge. It is jam-packed with great artwork in here. I'm just going to find some great artwork. Let's see. That'll come up well on the screen on my little camera there. Okay, so take a look at that. Artwork is really good. It's a very interesting system. Interesting from the standpoint where the DM or the GM, they don't make any rolls. The players make all the rolls. So basically the GM is setting the difficulty number. So if it's a difficulty of 5, you multiply 5 times 3, and that's what they have to roll over on a d20. So very simplistic. You only have 3 stats. You have like a brawn or a strength stat. You have an intelligence stat, and then you also have a speed stat, which is like your dexterity. And next to each stat, you have a pool. So say that difficulty of 15, you could use points from your pool to buy down that difficulty. So instead of a difficulty 5, maybe it's a difficulty 3. So now you have to roll above a 9. So basically your effort is making it a little bit easier. But that pool is also your hit points, which is kind of strange. There is a lot in this system. I'll be honest with you. I've read just about enough to kind of grasp the system. Character creation, I'm not sure how that's really going to play out. I'm not sure if that's it doesn't look complex, but it looks complex how you'd have to say, okay, if I'm running this type of campaign, here's what I would want. Here's the plugins that I would need. And maybe it's just me because I haven't wrapped my brain around it yet. But it is a very good book. The art in it is very good. There's a lot. There's so many abilities. There are classes in here. So you have like your adept, you have your warrior class. In warrior class, they break it down like a warrior in this type of setting would be this. An adept in this type of setting would be this. So it gives you a lot there, but there's just so much to sink your teeth into that it becomes very, very in depth when you want to try and run something. But so far, I mean, I like what I've seen of it, and it's pretty simple. I guess I just need to spend more time with it if I'm going to like it anymore. All right, next on the list is Fate Core. Fate Core is a lot of fun. Very easy to pick up. It can be very deep, but it's very simplistic. We would usually play this if a lot of people from a campaign didn't show up. Say, okay, we got 3 people today. Let's run a game of Fate, and the players can get to have input on it and everything. We ran one campaign once where it was not in a post-apocalyptic campaign. Had the city of Broken Crowns, which was basically New York City, but it was buried, and only the skyscraper tops where the broken skyscrapers were sticking up out of the ground. So they had to go down through the skyscrapers into this whole underground arena, like it's like a big cave, but it's Times Square. Inside the cave, somebody came up with the idea of a religious cult down there called the Hefts, and basically Playboy magazines were their religious texts, and they dressed in smoking jackets, and the girls wore ears, but that was their religion. So we came up with some really cool ideas. You can run anything on this. This is a complete book. You can do everything from like supers to spies to horror. They've got a lot of supplemental material out for Fate. A lot of people made their own stuff. Once again, it uses a dice mechanic, which is a little bit different than other regular role-playing games. You've got like this 6-sided dice, but there are plus and minus symbols on it, and they kind of cancel each other out. Minus would cancel out a plus, and of course the blank, you don't have anything. But it's cool. I like it. Fate gets my seal of approval. I wish I played it more, but we're usually doing D&D or another campaign. On to the next book, which is Savage Worlds. Now, I like Savage Worlds. I like it a lot. It's very crunchy. It's not tons of crunch, but it can be. There's a lot of things you have to remember when you're rolling. Oh, I get to add this into it because I have this. They have a lot of material out for this. I have the Rifts in Savage Worlds, but they also have, Deadlands. They're making Pathfinder into Savage Worlds, which is really wild. I've got that pre-booked. You start off with a species, an elf, an android. If there's not a species in here, it gives you guidelines on how to actually make your own species and have it balanced for the game. But it's cool. It's got powers in here, magic systems, skills like hindrances. The art in it's really good. There is tons and tons of source materials for this, for different types of campaigns, from fantasy to cyberpunk, just about everything. Look at that. That art is so cool. That's very cool. I'm currently playing in a Savage Worlds campaign for Dark Suns. Somebody translated the old D&D Dark Suns into it, and it's going pretty well. It translates pretty well. So this is a very capable system. You get this book, you got everything you need to actually run a game in it. You don't have to wait for supplements, though you probably want to get some because they have some pretty good ideas in there. So that's Savage Worlds. Now, on to the one I like the most. That is Cortex Prime. Cortex Prime, you can run absolutely anything in. Any style, any campaign. You can run kaiju, you can run pulp mysteries, you can run... They have a campaign setting here, which is like Thunderbirds, like rescue operations, and you're actually competing against a disaster, and they have rules for disasters. You can do very cinematic stuff. You've got everything you need in here to build skills, to build your characters, powers. They have 2 sets of powers, which is kind of interesting. And that is because they made 2 superhero games based on the system. They made the Marvel one. They also made Smallville, which is, that's one of my favorites. And so they had all those power lists. So they said, okay, let's put them both in there. So if you want to run this type of super campaign, you can use these powers. If you want to run this type of super campaign, you can use these powers, these abilities. Very, very cool. It uses regular role-playing game dice, D20, D10, D8, D4, D6. D12, and it's a fantastic book. Everything is in this. This is Cortex Prime, the updated book by Cam Banks. The art in it is awesome. Really friggin' cool stuff in here. Cool ideas. The one thing that might be a challenge to somebody is to wrap your brain about all the options they give, because they give you a ton of options. And you have to say, okay, I want this for my campaign, I want this, and I want this. So once you kind of like grasp that, wrap your brain around it, you can make absolutely anything in this role playing game. It is extremely, extremely cool. One of the things that I also love about this is that you can port in any dead role-playing games very easily. You could take the old Ghostbusters game. You could take the old Cyworld game. Maybe I'll make a video on actually how to do that. And you just say, okay, so we're going to take the stats from the Ghostbusters game. Okay, we're going to assign it the mechanics from here, and then add a couple of stresses and put in some equipment, and boom, it's done. It is so easy. Everything makes sense in Cortex Prime. So that's one of my favorites. So those are kind of like my quick review of all the generic universal role-playing systems that I personally use. Did I miss any? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Have you played any of these games? What your opinion is on the generic universal role-playing systems that are not GURPS. Thanks everybody for watching. Subscribe. Sometimes I release videos. It's been a while. Just moved into the new house, so still moving in. You can see like there's unhung pictures in the back, and but slowly getting there. Slowly getting there. I hope everybody's well and everybody's doing okay. I'll talk to you soon. Now I click stop. Stop recording.